tonight, before you drift into sleep, before your breath slows and your thoughts begin to loosen, I want to bring you somewhere unexpected, deep into the blueprint of your body, into the ancient codes that quietly decide when you feel awake and when you finally surrender to the night. Because long before you chose your bedtime, long before you ever stayed up late, long before alarms and schedules existed, your sleep rhythm was already written in the language of your DNA. And the story behind it is older than civilization. The hidden clock inside every cell. Inside every cell you carry, there is a tiny clock, a molecular rhythm, built from proteins that rise and fall in a 24-hour dance. They are known as the clock genes. Clock, per 1, per 2, per 3, cry 1, cry 2, and they function like an orchestra, each one playing its part, each one shaping the timing of your alertness, energy, and rest. Some people have versions of these genes that make the internal clock run slightly faster. Their bodies finish the day earlier, their sleepiness arrives sooner. Others have versions that make the clock run slower, stretching their day longer, delaying sleep until late into the night. These differences are not choices. They are inheritances. You can think of them as the biological accent you were born with, the way your body naturally speaks time. Why evolution wanted humans to sleep differently. For most of human history, sleep wasn't simply a personal preference. It was a survival strategy. Imagine a small group of humans, thousands of years ago, gathered around a fire, in a world full of predators, storms, and darkness. If everyone fell asleep at the same hour and woke at the same hour, the tribe would be vulnerable for long stretches of the night. So evolution made a decision. Let them sleep differently. Let some people feel tired right after sunset. Let others stay awake and alert deep into the night. Let some wake just before dawn. Let some take short sleeps. Let some take long ones. In other words, variation kept humans alive. Every chronotype you see today, morning people, night owls, in-between rhythms, is a living remnant of that ancient strategy. You do not sleep differently because you're undisciplined. You sleep differently because your ancestors needed you to. The night owl's inheritance. If you're someone who comes alive at night, who thinks more clearly when the world is quiet, who feels sleepy later than most, your ancestors may have been the night guardians of their tribe. These were the individuals evolution selected to stay alert while others slept, to keep the fire burning, to listen for movement in the dark, to protect the group until sunrise. Their genes live in you. A variant of the CRY1 gene, for example, can delay the internal clock, making sleepiness arrive hours later. But this is not a flaw. It was once a superpower. A night owl today is the descendant of an ancient watchkeeper. The early riser's inheritance. If you rise naturally before the sun, if your energy peaks early, if you feel the world belongs to you in the quiet morning, your ancestors were the dawn sentinels. They were the ones who woke before the rest of the tribe, ready to gather food, scout the surroundings, and welcome the first light. A variant of the PER3 gene is associated with these early rhythms, a faster internal clock that completes the daily cycle sooner. Again, not a choice. A biological lineage. Early risers today carry the genes of morning protectors. Why no two humans sleep the same? Even among people with similar genetics, the expression of these genes can vary. Light exposure, environment, stress, age, diet, and even cultural rhythms shape the way genes activate. Your sleep timing is not just nature or nurture. It is an ongoing negotiation between your biology and your life. This is why two siblings, raised in the same home, can still sleep completely differently. Each human body is a unique balance of evolutionary inheritance, and modern experience. Your sleep is not wrong, it's written. Modern life often tells us there is a correct sleep schedule. Go to bed early, wake early, be productive, be consistent. But biology does not follow productivity manuals. Biology follows ancient design. If you've ever felt guilty for sleeping late, for waking late, for needing more rest, for needing less rest, for not matching the rhythm of people around you, I want you to hear this. Your sleep is not broken. It is uniquely engineered. It is purposeful. You are built the way nature needed you to be. Your timing, your alertness, your nightly pattern, they are not accidents. They are adaptations, written long before you were born. The first step to peaceful sleep. Tonight, part of falling asleep is understanding this truth. You do not have to fight your nature. You do not have to force yourself into rhythms that were never yours. Sleep becomes easier, not when you change who you are, but when you finally learn why you are the way you are. When you stop labeling your rhythm as wrong, your body stops treating sleep as a battle. Biology relaxes. Mind relaxes. You relax. Sleep comes, a whisper before we move on. So as you lie here, with your breath softening and your body preparing to leave the day behind, remember, you are not designed to sleep like anyone else. You were never meant to. Your ancestors gave you a rhythm, a timing, a nighttime identity that is completely your own. And tonight, as we continue this journey, we will learn how to follow that rhythm instead of fighting it, so your sleep can finally return to the place it was always meant to be. Tonight, as the world around you grows quiet, I want to take you far back in time, long before electricity, cities, or alarms, long before clocks told us when day ended and when night should begin, because the way you sleep today was not shaped by modern life. It was shaped by your ancestors, by firelight, by darkness, by danger, by the instinctive choreography that allowed early humans to survive each night. Your sleep rhythm is a story that began tens of thousands of years ago, and tonight you get to step inside that story. The night was once a dangerous landscape. For most of human existence, night was not peaceful. Night was exposure. The world belonged to eyes that saw better in the dark, predators whose movements were silent, whose shadows blended into the earth. Every sunset carried risk. Every hour of sleep was a choice between rest and vulnerability. Sleep could not happen all at once, not for an entire tribe, not without consequence. So nature slowly, quietly, over thousands of generations, crafted a solution. Humans would not sleep the same way, not at the same time, not with the same rhythm. We would sleep differently, so that someone would always be awake enough to notice the danger approaching. It was not a plan. It was evolution's quiet engineering. The four roles of the ancient night. Every prehistoric group, from early Homo sapiens to indigenous tribes around the world, had four natural sleep roles. These roles still exist today, hidden inside modern chronotypes. The early resters, the ones whose energy faded quickly after sunset, whose bodies felt the night arrive earlier than others. They fell asleep first. They guarded the evening hours, when predators began to stir, but the tribe was still settling down. Per 3 gene variants are linked to this early wave rhythm. These were the people evolution chose to hold the first watch. The midnight sleepers, the average chronotype, the ones who slept when the fire died low, dreaming during the central hours of the night. Their rest was deepest, because their timing was shielded by other rhythms around them. Most humans today still fall into this group, the night owls, the watchers of darkness. Their bodies carried a delayed internal clock, keeping them alert. Long after the rest of the tribe had fallen asleep, they listened for movement in the grass, for the break of a branch, for the growl in the distance. Their CRY1 variants made this possible. Their role was essential. Without them, sleep would have been a liability. The dawn sentinels, the ones who rose before light, before birds sang, before mist lifted off the earth. Their early awakening prepared the tribe for the day, collecting embers, tending fire, scouting surroundings, scanning for predators returning to rest. They completed the night's story. Together, their sleep formed a protective net. These rhythms, early, middle, late, and dawn, created a layered cycle of alertness that covered the entire night. Every hour had someone watching. No moment was unguarded. This was not a strategy humans consciously invented. It emerged naturally, as genes passed from one generation to the next, favored survival. Your chronotype today is not random. It is a piece of this ancient net, woven into your biology. You do not sleep like others, because your ancestors had a specific role. In the architecture of nighttime survival, the evidence hidden in modern tribes, anthropologists studying traditional hunter-gatherer groups, such as the Hadza of Tanzania, found something remarkable. On nearly every night of observation, at least one person was awake, for the entire night, every night, not because they were assigned to stay awake, not because they forced themselves, but because their natural sleep rhythms simply differed. Some slept early, some late. Some woke frequently. Some woke before dawn. This staggering diversity was not disorder. It was evolution made visible, and modern humans still carry this diversity in our workplaces, families, and relationships. Even though the survival purpose is now gone, your body still thinks you belong to a tribe, sleeping under open skies. Why modern life feels against your rhythm? In ancient times, everyone's sleep made sense. Every chronotype had a purpose. Every rhythm contributed to safety. But modern society compressed sleep into a single standard. Go to bed early. Wake early. Be consistent. This advice works beautifully for morning chronotypes, but for others, especially night owls, it feels like swimming against a current. Their genetics refuse to change. What you feel is not laziness, not inconsistency, not irresponsibility. It is biology bumping against structure. You are living in a world that was designed for morning people, while your DNA was designed for something else entirely. Your rhythm is a living fossil. When you struggle to wake up at 6 a.m., when sleepiness arrives only after midnight, when you feel alive at dawn or alive at dusk, these sensations are echoes of ancestors who filled different roles in the night, who protected their community with the shape of their internal clock. You are carrying their timing, their instincts, their survival traits. In your cells, their story continues. Your circadian rhythm is a living fossil. Understanding your biological role brings peace. When you understand why your sleep is the way it is, something inside you loosens. You stop forcing yourself to mimic someone else's rhythm. You stop labeling your natural timing as wrong. You begin to relax into the possibility that you were never meant to sleep like everyone else. And sleep becomes softer, quieter, more forgiving, because your body stops fighting to be something it is not. It begins returning to the rhythm it carried for thousands of years, the rhythm that once kept an entire tribe alive. A closing whisper for tonight. So as you lie here, feeling the breath rise and fall in your chest, remember, the way you sleep is not a mistake, or a flaw, or a failure of discipline. It is an inheritance, a design shaped by moonlight, danger, and fire, a legacy from people who survived the night so that you could exist at all. Your rhythm is ancient. Your timing is intentional. Your sleep is part of a story, older than humanity itself. And tonight, As you drift deeper into rest, you carry that story with you into the dark. Tonight, as you settle a little deeper into the quiet around you, we're going to explore one of the oldest forces that shaped human sleep. A force so constant, so powerful, it has guided every living being on Earth for billions of years. Light, and the absence of it. Because your circadian rhythm, the internal timing system that decides when you feel awake and when you feel tired, was carved not by clocks or schedules or alarms, but by the movement of the sun, the rise of firelight, and the depth of ancient night. Long before humans knew what time was, light was already sculpting them. The first clock was the world itself. Before the invention of written language, before agriculture, before humans learned to build shelters or tools, the earth already had a rhythm. Every 24 hours, light rose, light faded, darkness returned. The earliest organisms didn't simply react to this cycle. They adapted to it. They built internal clocks to anticipate it. These rhythms became the foundation of nearly every biological system on Earth, including yours. Inside your brain lives a tiny cluster of neurons called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your master clock. It is not smart. It does not think. It does not learn. It listens to light. And for most of human history, light behaved in patterns far more predictable than the world we live in today. Sunlight was once the only regulator. For tens of thousands of years, the sun was the only source of natural light. Humans rose when the horizon brightened. They worked when shadows shortened. They rested when light slipped beneath the earth. Sunlight determined everything: hormone release, alertness, mood, hunger, metabolism, and the very architecture of sleep. Because your master clock is wired to respond to brightness, morning light tells your brain, wake, rise, begin. Evening darkness tells your body, slow, cool, prepare. These signals shaped human biology so deeply that even today, your internal clock behaves as though you still live under open skies. Modern life changed dramatically, but your biology did not. Darkness used to be absolute. When the sun disappeared, the world didn't dim, it vanished. Darkness, in the ancient world, was total, enveloping, unmoving. Humans gathered close, breathing beside the warmth of others, eyes adjusting slowly, as night swallowed the land. And in that darkness, the brain received its clearest message: it is time to sleep. Melatonin rose, body temperature dropped, awareness narrowed, night claimed the mind. Darkness was once a sacred physiological event, a switch that turned on every mechanism of rest. Today, we forget this. We flood the night with artificial light, bright enough to confuse the oldest clock we carry. But your body still remembers. The deep, ancient dark. It expects it. It longs for it. Fire, the first disruption and the first comfort. Around 400,000 years ago, humans discovered something that changed sleep forever. Fire. Suddenly, the night was no longer a void. There was warmth. There was safety. There were shadows dancing across stone. Firelight changed how humans slept, but not in the way artificial light does today. Firelight flickers in warm, low wavelengths, similar to sunset. Its glow signals quiet, not alertness. It extended evening hours, but it did not confuse the body about when sleep should begin. Fire gave humans the first taste of nighttime togetherness, talking, storytelling, learning, bonding, planning, comfort. It created the emotional architecture of the night, and the soft, golden light of fire still speaks to something ancient in the brain, something that knows this glow is a cue for safety. This may be why candles, lamps, and soft amber light still calm us today. Your nervous system recognizes it. It remembers. Moonlight, the gentle modulator. While the sun dictated alertness and darkness commanded rest, moonlight played a subtler role. Moonlight was too faint to change the circadian clock, but it shaped behavior, travel, hunting, social gatherings, rituals. Early humans slept differently. During bright lunar cycles, some slept less, some were more active, some stayed awake to navigate or prepare for journeys. But the moon never confused the master clock. Its light was soft, a whisper, not a command. Artificial light, however, is a shout, a declaration of false daytime that the brain struggles to interpret. How modern light breaks an ancient system. Today, humans live in a world where light no longer follows natural rules. Screens shine brighter than fire. Cities glow long after midnight. Homes stay illuminated until sleep is forced, not invited. The master clock receives mixed signals. Morning light arrives too late, because we wake indoors. Nighttime darkness never truly begins, because we bathe in artificial brightness. And so the internal clock drifts, struggles, misfires. For some, this creates insomnia. For others, delayed sleep. For others, fragmented nights. Your biology is not broken. The environment is. You are a creature shaped by sunlight and darkness. Yet you live in a world that no longer honors either. Why humans respond so deeply to light. Light is not simply brightness. It is information. When photons hit your retina, they send messages to the entire body. When to wake, when to sleep, when to eat, when to repair, when to release hormones, when to store or burn energy, when to dream. Your circadian rhythm is not a habit. It is a full-body coordination signal, triggered by light. Every flick of a switch, every glance at a screen, every late-night brightness sends biological instructions, and your ancient clock listens, even when you don't realize it. Light, fire, and darkness still live in you. Even though modern light has rewritten the way humans experience night, the old programming remains beneath it. You calm under warm light, because fire was your first evening companion. You become alert under blue light, because your brain thinks it's morning. You long for darkness, because your ancestors slept under an unbroken sky. Your circadian rhythm is the memory of a world that shaped you long before you were born, a final whisper before you drift deeper. Tonight, as your room dims and your breath softens, remember, your body is not confused. It is trying to follow. A map written by the sun, taught by firelight, and reinforced by thousands of nights, spent beneath ancient darkness. Light shaped you. Darkness rests you. Fire comforted you. And your sleep still carries all three. Surrender to that rhythm now, the one as old as humanity itself, and let the night take you, with the same quiet certainty it once offered your ancestors. Tonight, as your breath settles and the edges of your awareness begin to soften, I want to bring you into a moment so delicate, so silent, that you live through it every night, without ever noticing it. It is the moment your brain realizes night has arrived, not because you look at a clock, not because the world grows quiet, not because you decide that it's time to rest, but because deep within your eyes, your skin, your bloodstream, and your brain, a series of signals begin to whisper the same message. Darkness is here. Prepare the body. Begin the descent. This recognition of night is not emotional or psychological. It is chemical. It is ancient. It is written into the deepest layers of your biology. And tonight, We're going to follow that chemistry step by step as it prepares you for sleep. Light leaves the eyes, and night enters the brain. You may think your eyes are for seeing, but to your brain, their first purpose is something older, to measure light. Cells in your retina, not the ones that help you see shapes or color, but a special class called intrinsically photosensitive ganglion cells, exist solely to detect brightness, not images, brightness. When these cells sense daylight, they send a clear message to your brain's master clock. Stay awake, stay alert. But when light fades, their signal weakens, and when darkness finally settles, they fall quiet. This silence is not emptiness. It is an instruction. It tells the brain, it's time, time to shift, time to soften, time to let the internal machinery of sleep begin its quiet work. The master clock switches modes. Inside your brain, in a structure no larger than a grain of rice, sits the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the command center of your circadian rhythm. All day, it holds your body in wakefulness. It raises temperature, suppresses melatonin, keeps cortisol steady, and encourages alertness. But when the absence of light reaches it, the master clock changes modes. Daytime chemistry begins to fall. Nighttime chemistry begins to rise. This transition does not happen all at once. It unfolds in layers, like the dimming of a city at dusk. One system after another receives the message. Night has begun. Melatonin. The signal, not the sedative. Most people believe melatonin makes you fall asleep, but that is not its purpose. Melatonin is not a sedative. It does not force the brain into unconsciousness. It is a messenger, a signal that tells your entire body, darkness is here. Shift into night mode. When melatonin rises, core body temperature begins to drop. Alertness chemicals slow. Metabolism changes. Blood pressure eases. Neural activity prepares to transition. Melatonin is the announcer, not the hypnotist. It does not cause sleep. It opens the gates, so sleep can enter naturally. This is why you may feel calm, heavy, or softened under melatonin's influence, yet still remain awake if your mind resists. Melatonin prepares the stage. Your brain performs the rest. Body temperature drops. The first descent. One of the earliest changes in your journey into sleep is invisible, but powerful. Your core temperature falls. Not a lot, just a degree or two. But that small change signals every major system of your body that rest is coming. Cooler temperatures slow the body. They reduce metabolic demand. They deepen breathing. They relax muscles. They pull blood toward the skin to release heat. This is why your hands and feet may feel warm at bedtime. They're helping the rest of the body cool down. And this cooling opens the doorway to deeper stages of sleep. Without it, sleep remains just out of reach. Adenosine, the pressure that builds all day, while melatonin signals night. Another chemical determines how strongly you feel the need to sleep. Adenosine. All day long, as you think, move, react, and live, adenosine accumulates in the brain. It is like sleep pressure, a weight that grows heavier the longer you've been awake. By evening, adenosine reaches a level the brain can no longer ignore. When darkness arrives and melatonin rises, adenosine and melatonin work together. One says, "Night is here." The other says, "You are tired." And together, they guide your body to the threshold of sleep. Cortisol falls. The quieting of the day. Cortisol is often labeled a stress hormone, but its true purpose is to maintain alertness and readiness. In the morning, cortisol rises to wake you. It gives you energy, focus, and drive. But at night, the master clock gently lowers cortisol levels, letting your mind soften around the edges. This lowering of cortisol is one reason evenings feel different, why conversations grow quieter, why thinking becomes slower, why emotional responses deepen. The chemistry of day is stepping aside to make room for the chemistry of night, the peacekeeper of the brain. As sleep approaches, a final player emerges, a neurotransmitter known as GABA. GABA is the brain's natural brake system. It quiets neural activity, reduces stimulation, and helps the mind detach from the relentless momentum of daytime thoughts. When GABA rises, your brain becomes less reactive, less alert, less anchored to the outside world. Thoughts loosen, awareness narrows. The narrator of your mind grows softer. You begin drifting toward the edge of consciousness. And this is where sleep begins. Not with darkness, not with melatonin, not with temperature, but with surrender, a physiological release, guided by chemistry and carried by the quieting of your brain, the silent coordination of night. What makes this entire process breathtaking is that none of these mechanisms work alone. Melatonin without adenosine does nothing. Adenosine without cortisol, decline is ineffective. Temperature drops without GABA do not lead to rest. Sleep is not one switch. It is a symphony, a coordinated descent, where dozens of systems agree on one truth. It is safe to let go. And when they agree, consciousness loosens its grip. You slip across the fragile boundary between waking and sleep, and the night takes you, a final whisper before you drift deeper. So as you lie here, with your body softening and your thoughts growing dim, remember, your journey into sleep is not an accident, not a weakness, not something you must force. It is chemistry. It is intelligence. It is ancient design. Your brain knows how to detect night, even when you don't notice it. Your cells know when to soften. Your temperature knows when to fall. Your hormones know when to quiet. Everything inside you was built to carry you into this nightly descent. You do not have to guide it. You only have to allow it. Let your body do what it has been doing for hundreds of thousands of years. Let it lead you gently, silently, beautifully, into sleep. Tonight, you are going to cross one of the most mysterious boundaries in all of human experience. A moment so brief, so fragile, that most people never notice it at all. The threshold between wakefulness and sleep. It is not a switch. It is not an instant. It is a gradual unraveling of the self you were during the day and the self you become at night. Scientists call this moment the hypnagogic state, but names cannot capture how strange, beautiful, and otherworldly this transition truly is. Tonight, we're going to step inside it together. The first softening of thought. As you begin to fall asleep, the earliest change does not happen in your body. It happens in your mind. Your thoughts, which just moments ago were sharp, directed, linear, begin to loosen. They lose their edges. They stop marching forward in lines and begin drifting sideways, like leaves on water. You may notice that your mind becomes less obedient. You cannot hold one idea steady. It dissolves, reshapes itself, or blends into something unrelated. This is the brain's way of surrendering its grip on the waking world. Logical networks quiet first. Imagination networks rise. Memories from the day slip out of their folders and begin to float freely. Thought becomes less like a tool, more like a dream already beginning. Hypnagogic imagery. The flickers before dreams. Just before sleep takes you fully, your brain enters a moment of free-form creativity. You may see flashes of colors, patterns, faces, places, impossible shapes, brief scenes that vanish instantly. These are called hypnagogic images, the earliest sparks of dreaming. Your brain is no longer receiving steady input from the outside world, so it begins to generate its own. Visual areas of the brain fire spontaneously. Auditory areas hum. Memory circuits open and release fragments of experiences. Without context or order, this is not dreaming yet. It is the rehearsal, the stage lights turning on, the backdrop shifting, the world of sleep preparing itself just behind your fading awareness. The sudden jerk, a body caught between two worlds. Many people feel a strange sensation as they enter this threshold, a sudden twitch, a falling feeling, a jolt through the legs or arms. This is called a hypnic jerk, and it happens because the brain and the body do not enter sleep at the same speed. Your brain has already softened, but your muscles haven't fully followed. When signals that control movement begin to relax, the brain sometimes misinterprets this as a loss of balance and sends a corrective jolt. It is not a mistake. It is a final negotiation between waking coordination and nighttime stillness, a last moment of confusion before the body joins the mind in descent. Awareness narrows to a single point. Right before you lose conscious control, your awareness shrinks. Instead of holding multiple thoughts, evaluating information, or engaging with the external world, you begin to experience consciousness as a narrowing beam, a fading spotlight. This spotlight may settle on a sound in the room, a drifting memory, a soft sensation in the body, or nothing at all. And then, slowly, it dims. This dimming is not sleep. It is the moment awareness prepares to step aside. You are still present, but less tethered, still awake, but drifting. This is the border, the line between two worlds. Time begins to stretch and fold. One of the strangest features of the threshold is the distortion of time. A single thought can feel like a minute can feel like a second. The brain, no longer anchored to external stimuli, loses the instruments it uses to measure time in waking life. It is like a ship detaching from the shore, floating on currents where clocks no longer apply. For a brief moment, you live outside of time. The senses begin to disconnect. As the threshold deepens, your senses disconnect, one by one. You stop listening intentionally. You stop scanning the environment. You stop feeling the details of your body. External sounds may still be heard, but they do not register as things you need to respond to. Touch becomes vague. Spatial awareness blurs. Your sense of where your body is becomes softer, less defined. This disconnect is not unconsciousness. It is the brain withdrawing its attention from the outside world and turning inward. This inward turn is the beginning of true sleep. The logic system goes dark first. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, decision-making, and rational thought, is one of the first regions to go offline. Its activity fades long before the rest of the brain sleeps. That is why thoughts feel strange, why judgment softens, why everything feels dreamlike, even while you are technically still awake. When the logic system dims, your mind becomes free to wander, no longer tethered by rules, order, or expectations. This moment is why hypnagogia feels magical. Your brain becomes a storyteller without supervision, the boundary where self begins to dissolve. The most profound moment in the descent into sleep is not visual, not physical, not auditory. It is the fading of the sense of self. The internal narrator, the I in your thoughts, becomes quiet. Awareness becomes diffuse. Identity loosens. You stop being the character of your waking life and become simply experience. This dissolution is temporary, gentle, and essential. It prepares the brain to enter stages where memory is restructured, emotions are softened, and the self can be rebuilt for the coming day. Sleep is not just rest. It is a nightly reconstruction of who you are. And that reconstruction begins here, on this fragile border between waking and dreaming, crossing the threshold, and then, with no announcement, no final thought, no conscious decision, you cross. The brain waves shift from fast and irregular to slower, smoother patterns. Muscles relax, senses withdraw fully. External awareness drops away. You do not remember the moment, because the very ability to remember turns off right before it happens. The threshold is erased. As soon as you cross it, you are no longer drifting. You are sleeping. The night has taken you. A final whisper before you drift deeper. As you slip into the next stage, with your mind quieting and your body softening into stillness, remember, falling asleep is not failure, not surrender, not an interruption of life. It is a transformation, the delicate unraveling of the waking mind, so a deeper intelligence can begin its work. Your brain knows this threshold. It has crossed it thousands of times. It will cross it thousands more. Tonight, let it carry you, gently, across the border between awareness and dream. Tonight, as you drift deeper beyond the fragile threshold of falling asleep, you enter a stage that is both delicate and essential, a stage many people overlook because it feels quiet, light, almost insignificant. But without this stage, you could not stay asleep, you could not dream, you could not heal. Light sleep is the guardian of the night, the first true landing place. After leaving wakefulness behind, it does not restore you the way deep sleep does. It does not let you dream the way REM does. Its purpose is something simpler and far more important: to protect your journey into the night, so nothing pulls you back into the world you just left. The brain builds a perimeter around your sleep. As you enter light sleep, your brain does something remarkable. It begins closing the gates behind you, ensuring you don't wander back into wakefulness. From every tiny noise, thought, or sensation, this is the moment where your sleep becomes real. To do this, the brain deploys two powerful features: sleep spindles, tiny bursts of electrical activity that act like shields. Whenever a sound or disturbance appears, a car passing, a whisper in the hallway, a shift in your own breathing, sleep spindles rise to block it from reaching deeper awareness. It's as if the brain whispers, "Ignore that. Keep sleeping." K-complexes, slow, dramatic waves that act like night guardians. They detect whether a noise is harmless or worth waking for. Most of the time, they simply let you stay asleep while the world continues around you. Together, spindles and K-complexes form the brain's nighttime security system. Light sleep is not weakness. It is vigilance designed to protect your deeper rest. Your body settles into its night rhythm. While the brain creates the perimeter, the body shifts into its quiet nighttime physiology. Breathing becomes uniform, not deep like in later stages, but smoother, softer, steadier. Heart rate slows, blood pressure lowers, muscles relax in small waves, as tension leaves the body thread by thread. You may not notice this, but your body is gently deciding, we are staying here, we are committing to sleep. This stage is the body's way of anchoring you, so deeper sleep can safely begin. Without this anchoring, the night could not unfold properly. Awareness begins to drift farther away. In light sleep, your awareness detaches even more from the outside world. Sounds may still reach your ears, but your mind stops interpreting them as things you must respond to. Thoughts lose structure completely. Internal dialogue quiets. You no longer feel awake inside your head. You begin to float, not dreaming, not thinking, just drifting. This drifting feeling is one of the brain's oldest survival instincts, a way to conserve energy, while still remaining lightly responsive in case danger appears. Humans evolved to maintain this balance, because falling too deeply, too quickly, would have been unsafe. Light sleep is the perfect compromise. Soft enough for rest, alert enough for protection. Your sense of time begins to blur. In this stage, your perception of time becomes unreliable. Minutes may pass without you feeling them, or you may wake briefly and think, "I only just fell asleep," even though it has been half an hour. This distortion happens because the brain is no longer tracking external cues. Your inner clock takes over, marking time in waves instead of seconds. Light sleep is the first place where time begins to disconnect from experience. Soon, it will dissolve entirely as deeper stages emerge. Memory processing begins its first steps. Even though light sleep is shallow, it plays a key role in preparing your memories for the deeper work that comes later. Sleep spindles, those tiny bursts of electrical energy, are also used to begin sorting and flagging memories for deeper consolidation. It's as if the brain is taking inventory. Which memories matter? Which ones should fade? Which ones need deeper processing later tonight? Light sleep sets the stage for memory strengthening and emotional balance that occur in later cycles. It is the prelude to the restoration of the mind. Small awakenings are normal and necessary. You may briefly rise toward wakefulness and then sink back again. These micro-awakenings are not interruptions. They are part of the natural architecture of sleep. Light sleep acts as a buffer between the waking world and the depths below. Every time you drift up and down, your brain is fine-tuning its systems, checking your breathing, adjusting muscle tone, regulating temperature, scanning the environment, evaluating safety. These moments keep you alive. They are not signs of poor sleep. They show the brain is actively protecting your night. This stage dominates most of the night for a reason. Light sleep is the stage you will return to again and again throughout the night. In fact, you will spend more total minutes in light sleep than in any other stage, not because it is the most restorative, but because it is the most essential for navigating the transitions between deeper stages. Light sleep is the foundation that supports the entire architecture of rest. Without it, your sleep would collapse into fragments. The doorway to deep sleep slowly opens. As you move deeper into light sleep, your brain waves continue to slow. Alpha waves fade. Theta waves dominate. Then, in the distance, the first slow waves of deep sleep begin to rise. Like a distant horizon, your body cools further. Your mind quiets further. Your awareness drifts further. Slowly, naturally, without effort, the doorway to deep sleep opens. Light sleep has done its job. It has secured the night, protected your descent, and prepared your body for the most restorative stage to come. A final whisper before you drift deeper. As your breath lengthens and your body settles into stillness, remember, light sleep is not just light. It is the guardian of your night, the protector of your journey, the quiet checkpoint between consciousness and the deep unknown. It keeps watch, so you can let go. It shields your mind, so dreams can find you. It holds the night steady, so the deeper stages can heal you. Tonight, let light sleep guide you gently into the darkness beneath, into the depths, where true restoration begins. Tonight, you are going to sink into the deepest, quietest, most ancient part of sleep, a place where the body repairs itself, with a precision so beautiful that even modern science is still trying to understand it. Deep sleep, also known as slow-wave sleep, is not simply rest. It is restoration, rebuilding, recalibration. a nightly reset that makes tomorrow possible. This stage is the foundation of physical health, emotional resilience, and cognitive clarity. It is the moment when the body whispers, "Let me take care of you now," crossing into the depths. As light sleep loosens its protective grip, your brain waves begin to shift into something entirely different. Fast, active waves slow down dramatically. Theta waves are replaced by majestic, sweeping delta waves, the slowest brain waves you experience while alive. These waves rise and fall. Like the tide of an ancient ocean, every pulse of delta activity is a message. Repair, clean, heal. Your consciousness recedes, your awareness dissolves. You fall into a silence that is deeper than dreaming and older than human memory. The body enters full repair mode. During deep sleep, the body shifts from survival to restoration. Growth hormone surges, triggering repair in muscles, bones, skin, connective tissue, metabolic systems, tiny injuries from the day, the micro tears from movement, the stress signals from emotion, the wear and tear of simply being alive, are quietly mended. Inflammation decreases, cells regenerate, immune function strengthens. Deep sleep is not rest. It is rebuilding. The version of you that wakes tomorrow is physically different from the version that fell asleep tonight. The brain cleans itself literally. Deep sleep is when the brain performs its most extraordinary task, self-cleaning. During the day, neural activity creates metabolic waste, tiny byproducts that accumulate between brain cells. If left to build up, they impair cognition, memory, mood, and long-term neurological health. But during deep sleep, the brain opens a special system called the glymphatic system. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through the brain like a gentle internal tide, washing away waste, flushing toxins, clearing debris that waking life leaves behind. It is the brain's nightly detox, silent, rhythmic, essential. Some scientists believe that deep sleep is one reason humans remain cognitively sharp while other species fade earlier. Your brain stays young because deep sleep keeps it clean. Memory roots itself into the mind. While the body repairs itself, the mind does something equally profound. It organizes the day. Deep sleep consolidates memory, but not in the way people expect. It does not store everything. It chooses. During slow wave sleep, the hippocampus, your short-term memory center, replays the events of the day in tiny electrical bursts. But not all events, just the ones your brain believes matter. It sends these chosen memories to the cortex for long-term storage. The rest dissolve quietly into forgetting. Deep sleep is the reason some moments stay with you your entire life, while others fade by morning. It is not loss. It is curation. The ego falls away completely. In deep sleep, your sense of self disappears, far more fully than in dreams. There is no story, identity, narrative, awareness, internal voice. This absence is not nothingness. It is restoration. The brain temporarily turns off. The circuits responsible for selfhood, not as an escape, but as a recalibration. To wake up as you, the brain must sometimes turn you completely off. Deep sleep is a return to a state of pure existence. Before thought, before identity, before narrative, it is the deepest silence the mind can enter. The body reclaims energy. Deep sleep dramatically reduces the brain's energy use. This gives the body a rare opportunity to redirect resources. Blood flows away from the brain into muscles and organs. Cells absorb nutrients more efficiently. Metabolism stabilizes. Energy stores replenish. This redistribution of resources is part of why you feel physically restored after a good night's sleep and drained. When deep sleep is disrupted, your body has been doing work you cannot feel but cannot live without. Heart and breath enter their most peaceful state. During deep sleep, heart rate reaches its lowest point. Breathing becomes slow and steady. Blood pressure drops. Stress hormones fall to near zero. This cardiovascular rest reduces strain on the heart in ways no waking rest can replicate. People who achieve healthy deep sleep tend to have stronger heart function, lower stress, more stable moods, better immune resilience, improved metabolic health. The heart, which works without pause all day, finally receives a break that only deep sleep can offer. Why humans cannot skip this stage? Deep sleep is non-negotiable. Without it, immunity weakens, memory degrades, emotional stability declines, physical healing slows, inflammation rises, metabolic disorders increase, cognitive performance collapses. You cannot replace deep sleep with naps, meditation, or willpower. It is the only stage that performs certain repairs. If REM dreams are the mind's theater, deep sleep is the body's cathedral. This is the safest you will ever feel. Deep sleep is paradoxical. You are at your most vulnerable, physically, and at your most secure, biologically. The brain, confident in the perimeter created during light sleep, allows you to sink into a depth where you cannot respond to danger because your body knows you are safe enough to release control. This trust, encoded across hundreds of thousands of years, allows healing that would be impossible in any other state. Deep sleep is the body's way of saying, "I've got you, let go." A final whisper before you drift deeper. As you lie here, with your mind quiet and your body falling softly into the depths, remember, deep sleep is not something you earn. It is something you are given, a gift from biology, a nightly renewal written into the core of your being. It heals you, it restores you, it rebuilds you. Every morning you wake is proof that deep sleep has done its work. Tonight, sink into that depth with trust, with softness, with gratitude. Let the slow waves take you into the place where your body becomes new. Tonight, as your body rests in the deep silence of slow wave sleep, another world begins to stir. A world that looks nothing like waking life, and nothing like the restful darkness beneath it. This world is lighter, brighter, stranger, more fluid, more emotional, more alive. It is the world of REM sleep, a nightly theater where the mind awakens, inside the body's deepest paralysis. Here, reality is rewritten. Memory becomes performance. Emotion becomes landscape. And your sense of self becomes a character in a story that only your unconscious can tell. The brain reawakens, but the body does not. In REM sleep, your brain becomes almost as active as it is when you're awake. Neurons fire rapidly. Electrical patterns accelerate. Emotion centers light up. Visual regions ignite with color and movement. But your body remains still, completely still. A special system in the brainstem induces muscle atonia, a temporary paralysis that prevents you from acting out your dreams. This separation between mind and body creates the unique condition of REM, a fully active brain inside a sleeping body. You are awake inside the dream, but not awake in the world. This division is what makes REM so uncanny, so immersive, so transformative. Dreaming begins, the mind's private cinema. When REM takes hold, your mind begins creating the most vivid and emotionally charged experiences of the entire night. Dreams here feel colorful, intense, symbolic, illogical, beautifully impossible. They can jump between scenes, with no transition. Characters shift identities, places merge, time folds, physics bends. Your brain is not confused, it is free. With the logical prefrontal cortex mostly offline, the dream becomes a space where creativity dominates, where emotion speaks louder than reason, where metaphor becomes reality. Dreaming is the mind expressing itself without the limits of waking life. Why dreams feel so real? Even though dreams defy logic, they often feel incredibly real while you're inside them. This is because REM sleep activates the visual cortex, color, movement, detail, the limbic system, emotion, urgency, meaning, memory regions, people, places, experiences, but it suppresses prefrontal reasoning, motor control, real-world orientation. This combination produces a perfect illusion. You feel awake, inside a world that cannot exist. The dream is not happening to you. Your mind is building it from within. And during REM, you believe every moment of it. The emotional work of REM sleep. Dreams are not random. They are emotional processing. During REM, the mind revisits memories, where emotion remains unresolved. It removes the sharp edges, softens the pain, integrates the lessons, rewrites the meaning. This is why emotionally intense days often lead to intense dreams. Your brain is not torturing you, it is healing you. REM sleep performs a kind of nightly therapy. Grief becomes softer, anxiety becomes manageable, traumatic memories lose their sting, joyful memories become richer, emotional balance resets. By morning, experiences that felt overwhelming may feel more bearable. Dreaming is emotional housekeeping, creative problem-solving in the dream state. In REM sleep, something extraordinary happens. The mind begins to solve problems you could not solve while awake. Without the strict rules of logic, the brain forms new connections, new pathways, new associations. This is why dreams often produce breakthroughs, ideas, insights, artistic inspiration, solutions to puzzles, creative leaps. When you dream, your brain experiments freely. It simulates possibilities without consequence. It rearranges information until something clicks. Many inventions, theories, and artworks have their origins in dreams. The structure of the benzene molecule, the sewing machine needle, major musical compositions, plot lines for novels, scientific insights. REM sleep is your brain's most powerful creative state. Identity becomes fluid. One of the strangest qualities of REM is the dissolution of a fixed sense of self. In dreams, you may be yourself, be someone else, be both, or be no one at all. You may see yourself from outside your body, or speak with a version of yourself that feels entirely independent. This fluid identity allows the brain to explore alternative perspectives, emotional reversals, role shifts, symbolic meanings that rigid waking identity would reject. Dreams let you temporarily escape the boundaries of you, and in doing so, they expand your understanding of who you are and who you might become. Why REM happens in cycles. REM sleep does not appear once. It returns again and again throughout the night, in increasingly longer waves. Early in the night, REM is short, fragmentary, fleeting. Later, it stretches longer, grows more intense, becomes the dominant stage. This rhythm is intentional. Deep sleep repairs the body first. REM repairs the mind later. Healing follows a sequence. Your body gathers strength before your mind begins rewriting itself. When REM is interrupted, you feel it. Unlike deep sleep, which you may not feel missing immediately, REM deprivation is noticeable. When REM is cut short, moods become unstable, emotional reactivity increases, creativity decreases, focus becomes scattered, anxiety rises, memories feel disorganized, learning becomes harder. The world feels harsher because the mind did not complete its emotional reset. This is why even short dreams can be essential. Your mind needs this nighttime world as much as your body needs deep sleep. REM paralysis. The guardian of the dream state, the paralysis that holds your body still during REM, is not a malfunction. It is protection. If the body moved with the intensity of the dream, you would act out scenes, speak, run, strike, fall. The paralysis ensures the dream remains internal and the body remains safe. It is also the reason some people experience sleep paralysis. When waking unexpectedly from REM, the mind wakes first, the body wakes second. The gap between them is the source of the paralysis. It is frightening when it happens, but it is simply the physiology of REM. Caught mid-transition, the dream ends the way it began suddenly, just as the dream world feels complete, immersive, real. It dissolves. REM ends abruptly. Brain waves shift. Muscle tone returns. The mind loses its grip on the dream. Most dreams vanish instantly because the brain turns off the memory storing mechanism during REM. Not forgetting, protecting. Dreams are meant to be felt, not archived. Their purpose is transformation, not recollection, a final whisper before you drift deeper. As you rest now, with your mind floating between story and silence, remember, REM sleep is not chaos. It is creation. It is the mind expressing itself without the limits of waking thought. It is emotion learning to breathe again. It is memory finding order. It is identity dissolving just enough to rebuild itself by morning. Dreams are not illusions. They are messages. They are medicine. They are the nightly rewriting of reality, so you can face the next day with clarity, stability, and the quiet strength of a mind renewed. Tonight, let your dreams take you into their strange, impossible world. Let them teach you, heal you, transform you. Let the night rewrite you in ways the day never could. Tonight, as you move between dreaming and silence, between depth and drifting, you are entering one of the most elegant structures your biology has ever crafted, the sleep cycle. Most people imagine sleep as a straight descent into darkness. Fall asleep, stay asleep, wake up. But that is not how the night truly works. Sleep is circular, layered, rhythmic, a sequence that repeats itself again and again until morning. You do not fall into one type of sleep. You travel through a series of stages that return in waves, each one refining the work of the last. These cycles shape your night, the way tides shape an ocean. And tonight, we follow them. The night is not one journey, but 4 to 6 separate ones. Your sleep is divided into cycles that last about 90 to 110 minutes each. In that time, you move through light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, and then something surprising happens. You rise back toward wakefulness, just enough to begin the next cycle, but you almost never notice. It is a rhythm so familiar, so automatic, that the body performs it without conscious influence. Each cycle completes a story and prepares you for the next. Cycle 1, securing the night. The first sleep cycle is a descent. Light sleep guards the edges of consciousness. Deep sleep claims the body. REM appears only briefly, as a whisper of the dreams to come. This cycle's purpose is survival. It tells the brain, we are safe now. We can go deeper. The night cannot unfold until the first cycle is complete. Cycle 2. Repair and stabilization. The second cycle strengthens the work of the first. Deep sleep becomes stronger here. Its waves heavier, its silence deeper. Your body repairs the day's cellular damage. The glymphatic system washes through the brain. Hormones rebalance. Memory processing intensifies. This is the cycle that gives you physical restoration. Without it, the morning feels unfinished. Your body still carries yesterday. Cycle 3. The shift toward the mind. By the third cycle, something begins to change. Deep sleep starts to decrease. REM sleep begins to expand. The night transitions from repairing the body to restoring the mind. Dreams grow more vivid. Emotions rise in priority. The brain starts rewriting the meaning of the day. This cycle is where emotional resilience is built. You wake the next morning less burdened because this cycle lifted some of that weight. Cycle 4. The mind takes center stage. In the fourth cycle, REM may dominate. Your heart rate becomes more variable, your breathing irregular, your eyes move rapidly beneath closed lids. Your body stays still, but your mind is alive, reimagining memories, resolving feelings, inventing stories, solving problems, restoring identity. This cycle is the reason you wake with new ideas, fresh clarity, or unexpected solutions. Creativity rises here because logic sleeps and imagination rules. Cycle 5 and 6, the dawn cycles. As morning nears, deep sleep becomes rare, sometimes disappearing entirely. REM expands even further. These final cycles are lighter, more dream-filled, more emotionally expressive. The sleeping brain prepares for the return of consciousness. You may drift closer to waking, then slide back into dreams, moving between worlds. Like tides drawing in and out, these cycles gently transition you toward the morning. Why the cycles change across the night. The architecture of sleep is not accidental. It follows a sequence that reflects your biological priorities. Early night is when the body comes first. Middle night marks a period of balance. Late night is when the mind takes the lead. Dreaming becomes essential. As memory and emotion are refined, each cycle shifts the weight from one purpose to another. Sleep is not repetition. It is evolution across the night. Waking briefly between cycles is normal. At the end of every cycle, your brain surfaces slightly toward wakefulness. You may turn over, adjust your blanket, shift your pillow, open your eyes briefly, or have no memory of it at all. This is not a disturbance. It is the brain resetting the stage for the next cycle. Infants do it. Adults do it. Elders do it. These micro-awakenings are the breath marks between the night's sentences. They are part of the design. When the cycles are broken, you feel it. If a cycle is interrupted early, you may lose deep sleep. If interrupted late, you lose dream work. Different disruptions lead to different symptoms. Losing deep sleep results in physical fatigue, brain fog. Losing REM results in emotional instability, irritability, poor creativity. Losing light sleep results in difficulty staying asleep. Every stage matters, because every cycle matters. The night is a conversation between body and mind, and each cycle continues the previous one's work. Interrupt the conversation, and the next day carries the unfinished story. Why the brain repeats these cycles again and again? Because healing happens in layers. You do not repair the body once. You refine it repeatedly. You do not rewrite emotions in a single dream. You revisit them across the night. You do not consolidate memories in one pass. You organize, reassess, and integrate. every time REM returns. The cycles are not loops, they are spirals. Each one brings you deeper into restoration. Each one lifts you higher toward waking. You rise and fall in a rhythm written before human history. A final whisper before you drift deeper. As you rest now, moving gently through the cycles of your own night, remember, sleep is not one thing, it is many. Not one descent, but many journeys. Not one dream, but waves of them. Your body repairs you. Your mind rewrites you. Your identity reshapes itself in layers of light, depth, and imagination. Tonight, you will cross these cycles again and again, not because your body forgets, but because it remembers. This is how humans heal, how humans grow, how humans prepare for dawn. So drift gently into your next cycle now. The night still has work to do. Tonight, we arrive at the final movement of the night's quiet symphony. A shift so gentle you rarely feel it, yet so powerful it returns you to the waking world each morning. Waking up is not an accident. It is not simply the end of sleep. It is a biologically choreographed emergence, as intricate and meaningful as falling asleep. Your brain knows how to bring you back, because waking is part of a rhythm, older than your species, older than memory, older than thought. Waking is a return, a rising, a re-entry into the self you left behind. And tonight, we explore how that return unfolds. The brain begins, preparing for morning long before you wake, hours before sunrise. Often around 3 or 4 a.m., your body begins shifting. You are still asleep, still dreaming, still moving through REM cycles. But deep inside, your biology is already whispering. The day is coming. Cortisol begins to rise slowly, not as stress, but as energy, a signal to the brain. Wakefulness is approaching. Body temperature warms. Breathing becomes slightly deeper. Heart rate increases gently. These changes prepare the body to climb out of sleep without shock. Waking is not sudden. It is gradual. A tide rising long before it reaches the shore. The final REM cycle. Mind before body. Just before you wake, you often enter your longest and most vivid REM period. This final REM cycle serves 2 purposes. It completes emotional processing, tying the last threads of your dream work. It prepares your mind to reassemble consciousness, rebuilding the narrative of who you are. During this phase, your dreams may become intense, cinematic, or symbolic. The brain is finishing its work, restoring identity, memory, and emotional balance. When this final REM cycle ends, your mind is ready to return, but your body still sleeps. Waking comes only when both agree. The sleep gate opens gradually, just as you crossed a threshold. When falling asleep, you now cross another one as you return. This threshold is not an on-off switch. It is a slow lifting of the veil. Sensation returns. Self-awareness returns. Time perception returns. Logic wakes. Orientation stabilizes. You may not open your eyes yet, but the internal narrator, the I, that disappeared during deep sleep and dreams, begins to speak again. Waking begins, not with movement, but with the return of self. The muscle paralysis of REM releases. As the brain prepares to wake, the paralysis that protected your dreams begins to lift. Signals travel from the brain stem back into the muscles, restoring tone and control. Sometimes this transition is smooth. Sometimes the mind wakes before the body, creating the strange phenomenon known as sleep paralysis. But when the timing is right, awareness and movement return together. You begin to stretch, shift, adjust your position, the body confirming, we're back. The world gradually re-enters the mind. Before you fully wake, your senses begin to reconnect. sounds sharpen, spatial awareness returns. Your body's position becomes clear. Light reaches the eyelids. Thought becomes directional again. You may drift between awareness and dream, between here and somewhere else, as the brain decides which world it will inhabit. This liminal space is the mirror image of the hypnagogic state you passed through when falling asleep. Except now, you are rising, opening the eyes, the final step of a long process. Opening your eyes feels like the beginning of waking, but biologically, it is the end. When the eyelids lift, light floods the retina, striking the same cells that detected night hours earlier. Now they send a different message. Day has begun. This single burst of light signal resets your circadian clock, anchors your internal rhythm, and prepares every system in your body for the next 16 hours. The return is complete. Why waking sometimes feels heavy. Not all awakenings feel the same. When you wake from deep sleep, you feel heavy, disoriented, foggy. This is sleep inertia. The brain still partly in slow wave mode, REM sleep. You wake more mentally alert, but emotionally sensitive. Dream residue lingers. You may feel raw or contemplative. Light sleep. You wake easily, with minimal fog. The stage you wake from shapes your entire morning. This is why alarms can feel jarring. They yank you out of whatever stage you're in, with no regard for the cycle. Your body prefers to choose its own moment. Why you sometimes wake before the alarm. If you consistently sleep on a stable schedule, your internal clock begins predicting your wake time. Cortisol rises slightly earlier. Body temperature lifts sooner. Brain activity prepares in advance. You may open your eyes minutes before the alarm, because your biology has become more accurate than the clock beside your bed. This is not coincidence. It is mastery. Your circadian rhythm learns you. Waking is not the end of sleep. It's the beginning of the day's story. Just as sleep prepares you for tomorrow, waking begins the moment-to-moment rhythm that shapes your entire day. The first light you see sets your internal clock. The first breath of morning signals energy production. The first movements activate your metabolism. The first thoughts reassemble your sense of self. Waking is the moment you step back into the world, carrying the restoration that the night gave you. It is a daily rebirth, a return to the narrative you paused hours earlier, a final whisper as you rise from the night, as you prepare to leave this quiet darkness and return to the waking world. Remember, waking is not simply stopping sleep. It is a carefully orchestrated emergence, a rise choreographed by biology, perfected by evolution, softened by the night you just traveled through. Your brain awakens you only when you are ready. Your body warms you only when it is safe. Your mind returns to you only when the story can continue. Each morning is a completion, a return, a renewal. Tonight, you have traveled through light, depth, dreams, and cycles, and now you rise. Let the day meet you gently. Let the morning light set your rhythm. Let the restoration you earned carry you forward. The world is waiting, and you are ready to return. Tonight, we turn our attention to something you experience every day, yet rarely understand: tiredness. Fatigue feels simple, a heaviness in the eyes, a slowing of the mind, a quiet desire to stop, to rest, to surrender. But beneath that simplicity lies one of the most complex systems your body has ever built. Feeling tired is not laziness. It is not weakness. It is not failure. It is intelligence. Your fatigue is a message from the hidden systems of your biology, each one tracking time, energy, stress, memory, and repair. Tonight, we explore what they're trying to tell you. Fatigue begins with the brain's ancient timekeeper. Long before you consciously feel tired, your circadian rhythm, the master clock deep inside your brain, is already preparing your descent. Around late evening, your internal clock sends out signals: lower body temperature, reduced alertness chemicals, gentle melatonin release, slowed reaction times, softened emotional reactivity. You don't choose to feel tired. Your biology schedules it. The circadian rhythm is not based on your mood. It is based on light, genetics, and evolution. The sleepiness you feel at night is your body following a rhythm millions of years old. Adenosine, the weight that builds all day. If the circadian rhythm decides when you get tired, adenosine decides how much. Adenosine is a molecule that accumulates in your brain every moment you are awake. Every thought, every movement, every neural signal adds another grain of weight to the adenosine pile. This is why, the longer you stay awake, the heavier you feel. Naps or caffeine temporarily reduce the pressure. All-nighters feel physically painful. Exhaustion deepens even when you are mentally fine. Adenosine is not emotion. It is chemistry. When it reaches a critical threshold, you cannot negotiate with it. Sleep becomes necessary, unavoidable, non-negotiable. Fatigue is your brain telling you it has collected too much of the day and needs time to clear it. Cortisol, the energy that slowly dissolves. Throughout the day, cortisol acts as your internal fuel. It peaks in the morning to help you wake. It stabilizes your energy through the early afternoon, and by evening, it gradually falls. When cortisol drops, fatigue rises, not because something is wrong, but because the day is coming to an end. This natural decline explains afternoon crashes, evening softness, emotional sensitivity at night, reduced motivation late in the day. Your body is closing the chapter, so you can begin another one tomorrow. The emotional load. Why stress makes you exhausted. Fatigue is not only physical, it is emotional. Every worry, every unresolved thought, every moment you hold yourself together costs energy. The limbic system, your emotional brain, consumes enormous resources when handling stress or fear. This is why anxiety feels draining. Emotional conversations tire you. Conflict makes your body heavy. Even good excitement can leave you exhausted. Fatigue is your brain protecting you from emotional overload. It forces you to withdraw, so the nervous system can return to balance. The cognitive load, the brain that works quietly burns energy. Thinking is expensive, not in metaphor, in biology. Your brain consumes more energy than any other organ, even though it represents only a small part of your body weight. Complex tasks drain it quickly. Decision-making, multitasking, concentration, self-control, social interaction, learning new skills. When the brain becomes overloaded, fatigue appears not as a failure, but as a shutdown protocol. Enough for today. Mental exhaustion is real, chemical, measurable. It is the brain trying not to overheat. Inflammation, the silent source of heavy fatigue. Some tiredness is deeper, a heaviness not solved by sleep alone. This fatigue often comes from inflammation, your immune system's response to stress, illness, poor sleep, or imbalance. When inflammation rises, energy production drops. Muscles feel heavy. The mind feels dull. Motivation disappears. The world feels too much. This kind of fatigue has nothing to do with willpower. It is biology asking for recovery. Why you often feel tired even when you slept. Fatigue does not come from sleep alone. It comes from balance. You can sleep 8 hours, yet still feel tired if your sleep cycles were disrupted. You woke during deep sleep. REM was incomplete. Stress hormones remained high. Your circadian rhythm was misaligned. Inflammation was present. Emotional processing was overloaded. Your dopamine system was depleted. Fatigue is a mosaic, not a single piece. Your body is speaking in many languages at once. Fatigue as a survival mechanism. Humans did not evolve to push endlessly. They evolved to alternate effort and recovery, alertness and softness, striving and resting. Fatigue is your biology, pulling you back into balance. It says, stop, restore, protect yourself. Without fatigue, you would overexert. You would damage tissues. You would burn neural pathways. You would ignore emotional wounds. You would collapse under stress. Fatigue is not the enemy. It is the guardian. When fatigue speaks the loudest, there are moments when tiredness feels overwhelming, heavier than usual, deeper than expected. This is your body prioritizing restoration above everything else. Such moments appear when you have been holding too many emotions. You have ignored stress for too long. Your sleep cycles were shallow. Your internal clock is misaligned. Your brain is resetting after overload. Fatigue becomes the hand that gently pulls you back toward equilibrium, a final whisper before you drift into rest. As you lie here, feeling the weight of the day soften and the quiet of the night settle around you, remember, fatigue is not failure. It is communication. It is intelligence. It is the body asking, not for more effort, but for permission to heal. When you feel tired, it is not because you are weak. It is because you are alive, and your biology is working to keep you whole. Tonight, let tiredness be a signal, not a judgment. Let it guide you gently into the restoration your body has been preparing for all day. Let it be the first step in the healing of the night. Tonight, as your breath slows and the world around you softens, something extraordinary is beginning inside you. A nightly ritual that rewires your emotional life with a precision no waking moment can match. Sleep doesn't simply rest the body. It restores the heart. It repairs the mind. It rebalances the feelings you carried through the day. You do not wake up calmer by accident. You wake up calmer because sleep has been working quietly on the emotions you were not able to process while awake. Tonight, we step inside that hidden process. Your emotions are not repaired while you feel them, but while you sleep. During the day, your brain collects emotional experiences, the way your muscles collect tension. Some moments are light, some are heavy, some leave an echo long after the moment passes. But the brain cannot fully process emotion while you are busy living life. You don't heal while reacting. You heal while resting. Sleep takes the unprocessed emotions of the day and transforms them, softening them, organizing them, reducing their sharpness, leaving only what is useful behind. Sleep is your emotional therapist, and every night is a session. Deep sleep calms the body's stress chemistry. In the early part of the night, deep sleep acts on the body first. Stress hormones fall, heart rate slows, muscles release, inflammation decreases, the nervous system comes down from the high alertness of the day. This stage is the body's emotional exhale. It does not erase feelings. It creates the physiological safety that allows feelings to be processed later. Deep sleep tells the heart, you're safe now. You can let go. Without this reset, you would wake each morning carrying yesterday's storms, as though they never ended. REM sleep begins the repair of emotion. Later in the night, REM sleep begins the deeper work. This is where the emotional brain steps into the spotlight. The amygdala, the center of fear, urgency, and emotional intensity, becomes active. But something remarkable happens. The neurochemical systems that produce stress in waking life shut down completely. You feel emotions, without the biology of fear. You revisit difficult memories. Without the physical pain of reliving them, you experience sadness, confusion, joy, or longing in a space where you cannot be overwhelmed. This is emotional alchemy. Dreaming is the mind rewriting emotional meaning. Dreams during REM are not random. They are emotionally targeted. Your brain pulls up the experiences of the day that still contain emotional charge. But instead of replaying them exactly, REM sleep distorts them. Different settings, different people, different symbolism, different outcomes. This distortion is intentional. It allows your mind to create emotional distance. A painful conversation may appear as a new scene. An argument may transform into metaphor. A fear may become a symbol instead of a threat. The dream is not the memory. It is the emotional reprocessing of the memory. Afterward, the emotional charge fades, even though the factual memory remains. This is why you can remember what happened without feeling the same pain. Dreams are the mind finishing what you could not finish while awake. Why you wake up feeling lighter after a hard day, after emotional stress, a conflict, a loss, a disappointment, a fear. Your sleep becomes more REM heavy. Your brain adjusts the architecture of the night to meet your emotional needs. When you wake up after such nights, you often feel clearer, calmer, more capable of facing the day, not because the problem disappeared, but because its emotional weight has been reduced. Sleep has removed the sting, so you can carry the memory without being crushed by it. This is why humans can endure heartbreak, loss, change, uncertainty. Sleep is the cushion between you and your hardest moments. When you don't sleep, emotions become loud. Without proper sleep, emotions intensify, stress rises, anxiety sharpens, reactions become faster and harsher, patience decreases, empathy reduces, memory of negative events strengthens, memory of positive events weakens. This imbalance is not psychological, it is biological. The emotional brain becomes louder because sleep did not perform its nightly reset. You are not moody or overreacting. Your brain simply did not get the restoration it needed. Sleep doesn't just help emotions, it governs them. Why nighttime is when grief softens. Grief, heartbreak, or overwhelming sadness can feel unbearable during the day. But at night, especially during REM, the emotional brain processes these experiences over and over with the stress response turned off. This is why you sometimes cry in your sleep, or wake up feeling emptied, or feel a quiet acceptance in the morning that you did not have the night before. Sleep has been carrying you through the heaviness, so you do not face it alone. The brain removes emotional noise to strengthen emotional clarity. Each night, sleep removes the noise, irritation, defensiveness, tension, background worry, emotional clutter, and what remains is clarity, what truly matters, what you can let go of, what requires action, what requires acceptance, what no longer deserves your attention. Sleep does not erase emotion, it refines it. It cleans your emotional lens so you can see the world without yesterday's fog. Why you often get new perspective after sleeping. People often say, I need to sleep on it. This is not a metaphor. It is neuroscience. During REM, the brain recombines memories and emotions in new ways, allowing you to form insights you could not reach during the day. This is why solutions appear in dreams, why problems feel smaller in the morning, and why your emotional truth becomes clearer after rest. Your brain uses the night to reveal what daytime confusion hides. A final whisper before you drift into healing. As you rest now, with the day behind you, and the night opening within you. Remember, sleep is not the absence of feeling. It is the restoration of feeling. It is the nightly reset that protects your emotional life. From the weight of being human, your mind will carry your emotions into dreams, only so it can return them, lighter, softer, and easier to hold. Let tonight repair you. Let dreams reshape the parts of you that hurt. Let the darkness soothe what daylight stirred. Your emotions will not disappear. They will transform, and by morning, you will wake with a heart made new. Tonight, you are entering the part of the night that feels the most mysterious, the most magical, the most impossible to explain. A space where the mind becomes a storyteller and the unconscious becomes an artist. Dreaming is not a mistake. It is not random. It is not noise or confusion. Dreaming is a function, a process, a language your brain speaks. When the conscious mind falls silent, your dreams are messages, experiments, memories rearranged, emotions processed, and possibilities explored. Tonight, we explore the science behind why your mind dreams and why those dreams appear as stories. The mind dreams to continue thinking when you can't. While you sleep, your conscious mind, the part of you that plans, judges, organizes, and critiques, is turned off. But your brain does not stop thinking. It shifts into another mode, a freer one, a deeper one, a more symbolic one. The brain still needs to process emotion, reorganize memories, integrate experiences, release tension, test possibilities, maintain identity. But without logic awake to guide it, the mind uses the only tool it has left: story. Dreams are the brain's way of continuing thought. With the rules of consciousness suspended, the brain creates stories because stories are the oldest form of meaning. Long before humans invented writing, long before language was structured, the brain used narrative to make sense of the world. Our ancestors shared knowledge, fear, joy, myths, danger, and hope through stories. The dreaming brain taps into that ancient mechanism. When something is important, the mind turns it into a narrative. This is why dreams feel like quests, warnings, metaphors, emotional symbols, emotional rehearsals. The dreaming brain is not trying to entertain you. It is trying to teach you, and the language it uses is story. The logical brain sleeps and creativity wakes. In waking life, your prefrontal cortex acts as a tight filter. It prevents unrealistic connections. It blocks impulses. It maintains order. But in dreams, that filter goes offline. With logic turned down, the brain becomes fluid, associative, imaginative. This is why dreams bend reality. You may walk through memories that never existed, speak with people who have changed shape, travel between places in an instant, see impossible events, remember things that never happened. The brain is not confused. It is creative. It is the creativity that daytime logic suppresses. Dreams mix memories because they are being processed. During REM sleep, your hippocampus, the memory center, replays fragments of experience. But dreams don't replay events exactly. They mix today with childhood, fear with desire, strangers with familiar faces, recent events with forgotten details, landscapes that never existed with those that did. This is not random. The brain is reorganizing memory networks, rewiring emotional connections, sifting through information and deciding what to keep, what to discard, what to integrate, what to release. Dreams are the visible shadow of invisible restructuring. Dreams are emotional simulations. The emotional centers of the brain are highly active during dreaming, especially the amygdala. But the chemical systems associated with fear and stress are switched off. This creates a perfect laboratory for the heart. You can feel emotions without physical risk. You can explore fears without consequence. You can revisit joy without losing it. You can confront sadness without being overwhelmed. Dreams are the brain practicing courage, acceptance, grief, boundaries, forgiveness, survival, connection, all within a world that cannot hurt you. Why dreams feel symbolic instead of literal. Dreams rarely speak directly. They speak in metaphor. Why? Because metaphor is efficient. A dream does not replay your stress from yesterday. It shows you drowning in water, or missing a train, or standing on a cliff. A dream does not tell you you're healing. It shows you climbing, or flying, or opening a door. The brain uses symbols, because symbols allow the mind to understand emotions without reliving them. Dreams are the emotional shorthand of the sleeping brain. Why you sometimes dream about people you haven't seen in years. Old faces appear, because dreams operate on networks, not chronology. Your brain clusters related memories, even if they are separated by time. A person from years ago may represent a feeling, a pattern, a lesson, a wound, a hope. Dreams pull characters based on meaning, not timeline. This is why the cast of your dreams often feels strange, but emotionally fitting. Lucid dreams. When awareness enters the dream world, sometimes a piece of the waking mind re-enters the dream. You become aware that you are dreaming. This state, lucid dreaming, happens when certain frontal regions briefly wake, while the rest of the brain remains in REM. In this moment, you can shape the dream, fly, change scenery, speak with dream characters, explore fears safely, direct the narrative. It is not magic. It is consciousness and imagination overlapping, a rare and extraordinary experience where you meet your mind inside its own creation. Nightmares, the brain processing what hurts. Nightmares are misunderstood. They are not failures of sleep. They are attempts to heal. A nightmare appears when a memory or emotion has too much intensity to process gently. The dream amplifies it to surface what needs urgent attention. This is why nightmares decrease after emotional healing, increase during stress, become symbolic over time, often resolve after REM cycles continue. Even fear inside dreams is part of your recovery. Your brain never punishes you, it protects you. Why most dreams vanish upon waking. You forget dreams because the brain switches off. The neurochemical systems that form long-term memories during REM. This protects you from carrying dream emotions into waking life. Dreams are meant to be lived, not stored. Only fragments remain, just enough to influence you, not enough to overwhelm you. The forgetting is part of the healing, a final whisper before you drift into story. As you fall deeper into the night, your mind will begin weaving its quiet tapestries again. Remember, dreams are not escapes. They are reflections. They are repairs. They are rehearsals for the life you will continue in the morning. Every strange image, every shifting scene, every impossible moment is your brain speaking in its oldest language. Tonight, let the stories come. Let the symbols unfold. Let your mind write what your heart cannot say while awake. Dreams are not where reality ends. They are where meaning begins. Tonight, as your body softens and your mind begins drifting into deeper currents, a quiet transformation is happening within you, one most people never realize, yet one that shapes their entire lives. Sleep does not simply restore energy, it restores you, your identity, your memories, your preferences, your emotional tone, your sense of who you are, is not a fixed object. It is a construction that must be rebuilt every night. The person who wakes in the morning is never exactly the same person who went to bed the night before. Tonight, we explore how sleep reconstructs the self. Identity is a daily story, and sleep writes the new chapter. During the day, your sense of self is constantly challenged. Every interaction, every choice, every emotional wave adds weight, pulls you in directions, and stretches your internal narrative. You accumulate stress, expectations, disappointments, hope, new information, unresolved thoughts. By evening, your identity becomes cluttered, fragmented, overwhelmed, too full to hold itself together. Sleep is the reset, the nightly reconstruction, the place where your brain organizes the story of you, so it can continue more clearly tomorrow. Memory consolidation builds the structure of who you are. You are not the sum of everything you've experienced. You are the sum of what you remember and how those memories are organized. During sleep, especially deep sleep and REM, the hippocampus replays your day and sends important memories to the neocortex for long-term storage. But the brain does not store everything. It selects. It chooses the moments that matter for your identity, the ones that help you navigate the world, the ones that support your beliefs about yourself, the ones that refine who you think you are. The rest dissolve. This nightly editing is why identity remains stable, even though life constantly changes. Sleep strengthens the threads that matter most to your inner story. Emotion processing reshapes the self you wake up as. Identity is not just memory, it is emotion. If emotional experiences remained raw, the self would fracture under their weight. Sleep protects you from that. During REM, fear loses its sharpness. Grief becomes survivable. Joy becomes more deeply felt. Anger becomes less overwhelming. Confusion transforms into perspective. The emotional charge drains from memories that hurt you and strengthens memories that support you. This shapes the tone of who you are when you wake. If waking life is the input, sleep is the interpretation. Dreams experiment with versions of you. In dreams, you are not limited to one identity. You can be braver, more vulnerable, more intuitive, more curious, more honest, more wounded, more whole. Dreams test out different versions of you in symbolic, emotional worlds where failure has no consequence. The brain uses these simulations to explore how you might behave, grow, or respond in situations you haven't yet experienced. It is identity rehearsal, a laboratory of the self. When you wake, you bring back what worked, the resilience, the insight, the possibility, without remembering the dream itself. This is why you sometimes wake up feeling changed. Even though nothing happened, something happened. But it happened in the symbolic space of sleep. The sense of self dissolves to be rebuilt. In deep sleep, your sense of I disappears completely. No thoughts, no preferences, no history, no identity. This dissolution is not loss, it is rest. Neuroscientists call this ego disintegration, but it is not destruction, it is renewal. When the self dissolves, its burdens dissolve with it. The brain gets the rare opportunity to reconstruct identity without interference from the conscious mind, like a city shutting down at night, so the roads can be repaired. Without traffic, you disappear temporarily, so you can return clearer. Waking is the moment identity comes back online. As morning approaches and the brain transitions out of REM, the prefrontal cortex begins to wake. This region rebuilds your sense of time, your self-awareness, your personal narrative, your goals, your personality boundaries. All of these reassemble piece by piece, based on the repairs done during sleep. This is why you solve problems better after sleeping. You feel emotionally reset. You see situations differently in the morning. You feel like a new person after rest. Identities shaken by stress feel stable again. Confidence can return after sleep. Your brain rebuilt the architecture of you. Chronic sleep loss erodes identity. When you don't sleep properly, emotions become louder. Memory becomes unstable. Self-control weakens. Empathy decreases. Decision-making falters. Your sense of self fragments. Long-term sleep loss doesn't just make you tired. It makes you feel less like yourself. An unfocused mind, an unstable mood, a narrative that stops making sense. These are not personality flaws. They are symptoms of a self that was not rebuilt overnight. Sleep aligns the self with who you want to become. Identity is not only about the past. It is also about potential. During sleep, the brain integrates not just what you lived, but what you aspire to. If you spend your day trying to grow, to be kinder, braver, more patient, more disciplined, more loving, sleep reinforces these pathways. It strengthens neural patterns that support who you are becoming. Dreams let you rehearse the future. Deep sleep stabilizes the traits you want to embody. REM reshapes the emotional landscape needed to support growth. Your nightly reconstruction moves you closer to the version of yourself you want to live as, a final whisper before you drift into renewal. As you rest now, with the night unfolding and your breath turning soft, remember, sleep does not simply repair the body, it rebuilds you. It collects the fragments of your day and finds the story beneath them. It dissolves the heaviness that would otherwise distort who you are. It edits your memories, so your identity remains coherent. It tests new versions of you to see which one might fit. It removes what no longer serves you and keeps what will help you grow. Tonight, you are not just resting, you are becoming. Let sleep take you, so you can return tomorrow, more whole, more grounded, and more yourself than you were today. Tonight, as your eyes grow heavy and your awareness begins to fade, something extraordinary is beginning inside you, a quiet transition from the daytime body to the nighttime body. During the day, your organs work in constant motion, responding to thought, movement, emotion, stress, food, and environment. But at night, a completely different system takes over. It is not rest. It is not stillness. It is the night shift, a coordinated team of organs and processes that perform tasks impossible to complete while you are awake. Sleep is not inactivity. It is activity with a different purpose. And tonight, we journey through your body as it works in the dark, the brain, the nighttime commander. As sleep begins, the brain performs its most delicate tasks. During deep sleep, it opens the glymphatic system, a fluid network that clears out toxins and metabolic waste from between neurons. This cleansing is so crucial that without it, the brain cannot stay healthy. While this happens, different regions decrease activity, creating space for repair. Sensory areas quiet. The prefrontal cortex rests. The memory system replays recent experiences. The emotional centers soften their charge. The dreaming brain activates in REM. The brain is not sleeping. It is recalibrating itself. The heart, returning to its natural rhythm. During the night, your heart experiences something it cannot experience during the day. True rest. Stress hormones fall, blood vessels relax, and heart rate drops to its lowest levels. This shift improves cardiovascular resilience, blood pressure regulation, the health of arteries, long-term heart strength. every night. Your heart uses this drop in demand to repair microscopic damage from the day's stress and activity. Night is the heart's recovery window. The lungs, breathing for repair, not performance. While awake, breathing changes constantly, with posture, movement, speech, emotion. But at night, breathing becomes rhythmic, predictable, and slower. This consistency allows the lungs to improve oxygen exchange, reduce inflammation, stabilize respiratory patterns, support deeper sleep through consistent CO2 O2 balance. During REM, your breathing becomes lighter, more irregular, mirroring the emotional world of dreams. But during deep sleep, it is steady, strong, and cleansing. The liver, the nighttime chemist. You may not feel it, but one of the busiest organs at night is your liver. When you sleep, the liver filters toxins, regulates blood sugar, processes chemicals from the day, rebuilds energy stores, balances cholesterol, breaks down old hormones, produces crucial proteins for blood and immunity. The liver waits for sleep because the body is no longer digesting, moving, or reacting, allowing the liver to run full efficiency. What feels like rest is actually a massive internal reboot. The immune system, the nighttime army. Sleep is the immune system's window for full-scale operation. While awake, your immune cells are distracted by movement, digestion, stress, and alertness. But at night, immune cells travel into tissues. Inflammation is regulated. Antibodies are produced. Infections are targeted. Cellular damage is repaired. Cancer surveillance increases. This is why illness feels worse at night. But healing accelerates during sleep. The immune system works best in darkness. The digestive system, shifting into recovery mode. During the day, your digestive system is busy breaking down food, absorbing nutrients, and responding to what you eat. At night, the system changes roles. The stomach slows. The intestines repair. The gut lining regenerates. The microbiome reorganizes. Digestive inflammation reduces. Appetite hormones reset. Leptin, ghrelin. Night is when your gut rebalances itself. Skipping sleep can disrupt everything from digestion to hunger to metabolism. The kidneys, filtering the night. Your kidneys work 24/7, but their rhythm changes while you sleep. At night, they reduce urine production, stabilize fluid balance, adjust electrolyte levels, repair tiny structures called nephrons. This is why you don't wake constantly to use the bathroom unless sleep is disrupted. Your kidneys shift into an overnight mode, designed to let you stay asleep. Muscles and bones, quiet but not idle. While you rest, your musculoskeletal system begins deep repair. Growth hormone spikes during deep sleep, helping rebuild muscle fibers, strengthen bones, repair micro tears, reset tension, release stored lactic acid. This is why proper sleep dramatically improves performance, healing, and physical endurance. Your body rebuilds itself while you dream. The skin, restoring the outer self. Your skin is your largest organ, and at night it enters reconstruction. As you sleep, collagen production increases, hydration improves, environmental damage is repaired, blood flow to the skin rises, inflammation from sunlight and stress decreases. This is why lack of sleep shows up immediately on the face. Beauty, sleep, is biology, not poetry. The endocrine system, resetting your hormones. Hormones operate on a precise schedule. During sleep, melatonin rises, cortisol drops, growth hormone surges, thyroid hormones balance, Reproductive hormones regulate. Insulin sensitivity improves. Your endocrine system depends on the rhythm of night to maintain long-term balance. When sleep suffers, hormones fall out of sync, and so does everything they control. Why the body can only do this work in sleep. Awake, your body must prioritize survival, thinking, moving, reacting, digesting, navigating senses, responding to stress. Sleep is the only time your organs can switch focus from managing life to repairing life. Night is not a pause, but a shift in direction. Every organ collaborates to bring you back to full strength. You wake each morning, not simply rested, but rebuilt. A final whisper before you drift into your night shift. As you lie here now, with your body softening and your mind growing quiet, remember, nothing inside you is asleep. It is only transformed. Your organs are working in harmony, performing tasks impossible during the day. Every cell is participating in your renewal. Every system is contributing to your tomorrow. Sleep is not an escape from life. It is the maintenance of life. Tonight, let the night shift take over. Let your body do the work you cannot feel, but cannot live without. Within the quiet of sleep, you are becoming whole again. Tonight, as you drift deeper into the soft, fluid world of dreams, you may find yourself walking through places that never existed, speaking with people who have changed shape, or standing inside scenes that feel more vivid than anything you experienced during the day. And yet, while you dream, it all feels real. Not metaphorically real, not symbolically real, but fully, undeniably real. You believe it. You inhabit it. You live inside it. Why can the mind create worlds so immersive that they can move you, frighten you, comfort you, or stay with you for years? Tonight, we explore the science behind the astonishing realism of dreams. The brain does not know it is dreaming. When dreaming begins, the neural networks responsible for perception activate almost exactly as they do when you're awake. The visual cortex lights up. The auditory cortex begins firing. Sensory areas behave as if they are receiving real input. Your brain is not imagining the dream. It is perceiving the dream, using the same machinery it uses to perceive waking reality, with one difference. There is no external world to correct it, no sight, no sound, no physical feedback to tell the brain, this is not real, so it accepts the dream as reality. For the dreaming mind, the world you enter is the world. The logic center sleeps and the critic disappears. The prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logic, reasoning, self-awareness, and skepticism, shuts down during REM sleep. This shutdown is the key to dream immersion. Without the logical brain, impossible events feel normal. Contradictions don't bother you. Timelines bend. Identities shift. Physics breaks. The story continues anyway. You don't question the dream, because the brain region that would question it is asleep. The critic is gone. The storyteller is free. Emotion colors the dream and makes it feel true. Dreams activate the limbic system, the emotional core of the brain, far more intensely than waking life. During REM, the amygdala fires. Emotional memories reactivate. The brain feels deeply. Symbols gain urgency. Meaning expands. Emotion is the glue that binds a dream together. It gives the world weight. It gives the story resonance. It makes the impossible feel intimate. A dream is not persuasive because it is logical. It is persuasive because it is emotional. Emotion makes experience feel real, even when logic is absent. Dreams borrow the architecture of reality. Your brain builds dreams from the same building blocks it uses to understand the real world. Dreams borrow real sensory memories, real faces sometimes distorted, real voices, real textures, real emotional patterns, real places, real motor simulations, real storytelling templates. The brain recombines them into something new, but the raw material is familiar. This familiarity tricks you. You walk through a dream city that is not your city, yet you feel you've been there before. You speak to a dream person who is not anyone you know, yet their presence feels intimate. Dreams are crafted from the pieces of your life, so the dream world feels like a life of its own. The brain blocks sensory input, so the dream takes over. During REM sleep, your brain isolates itself. From real sensory information, you become blind to the real world. Even though your eyes are open beneath your eyelids, you become deaf to the sounds around you. You stop feeling gravity. In the same anchored way, your muscles are paralyzed, so your body cannot act out the dream. This sensory isolation creates the perfect condition for immersion. The dream has no competition. It becomes the only world available. Dream time is not real time, and that increases immersion. In dreams, time does not behave normally. A single moment can stretch. An entire day can pass in seconds. You can revisit childhood and adulthood in the same sequence. Time distortion heightens immersion, because the rules of the waking world no longer apply. The brain stops measuring duration and begins experiencing narrative. In dreams, you do not track time, you inhabit it. You exist inside a world where time bends to story. The dream self feels like the waking self. One of the strongest illusions of dreaming is that you are in the dream, not as an observer, not as an idea, but as a self. The dream self feels like your perspective, your voice, your emotions, your memories, your reactions. Even if your identity shifts, you still feel like you. This continuity of consciousness makes the dream feel real. When the sense of I enters a world, the mind believes the world is real, because I am experiencing it. Dreams borrow your identity to lend themselves authenticity. The brain creates multisensory illusions. Dreams can simulate sight, sound, touch, temperature, movement, taste, fear, joy, grief, love. These sensations are not symbolic. They are neurological outputs. When a dream simulates touch, the somatosensory cortex activates, as if you were physically touched. When a dream simulates sound, the auditory cortex lights up, as if you heard something real. Dreams feel real, because, biologically, they are real. They activate the same circuits that waking experience does. Why you sometimes wake with strong emotion. You wake, crying, laughing, sweating, shaking, with a racing heart, with clarity, with fear, with relief, with longing, with peace. Because the emotional brain was not imagining feelings, it was feeling them. REM dreams imprint emotion into the body, even when they fade from memory. Emotion lingers, because the dream was real to the emotional brain. Dreams feel real, because they are real to the brain. A dream is not a hallucination. It is an internally generated reality that uses the same neural systems as the external one. The only difference is the source of the input. Waking reality comes from the outside. Dreaming reality comes from the inside. But the brain processes them using the same architecture. Dreams feel real because the brain treats them as real while they're happening. And in those moments, they are a final whisper before you drift into your own dream world. As you rest now, ready to fall back into the quiet inner universe, remember, your dreams feel real, not because the brain is fooled, but because the brain is free. free from the limits of the physical world, free from logic, free from linear time, free to explore emotion, memory, identity, and imagination without boundaries. Tonight, your dreams will build worlds for you to walk through. Let them. They are not illusions. They are inner landscapes where your mind practices being alive. In ways waking reality cannot offer, step into them softly, believe them while they last, and return when morning comes, carrying whatever truth they leave behind. Tonight, before you drift into rest, I want to take you into a world you rarely see. The world inside your body. When sleep does not arrive, we spend so much time talking about the beauty of sleep, the healing, the dreams, the restoration. But to truly understand why sleep is essential, you must understand what breaks. When it is missing, lack of sleep is not simply tiredness, it is the collapse of a carefully orchestrated nighttime system, a system your body depends on for memory, emotion, repair, clarity, and survival. When you skip sleep, the body and mind do not pause, they fall apart, in predictable, measurable, and deeply human ways. Tonight, we walk through that collapse. The first system to fail: attention and awareness. The moment you miss sleep, your brain's attentional network begins to fracture. Signals slow, reaction time drops, concentration splinters. You cannot hold focus, not because you lack discipline, but because the prefrontal cortex, the highest thinking part of the brain, is shutting down from exhaustion. Even mild sleep loss activates brain patterns similar to alcohol impairment. The world becomes harder to track, mistakes multiply, the mind drifts. You are not failing, your brain is protecting itself from overload. The emotional system becomes unstable. Inside the brain, the amygdala, your emotional alarm center, begins firing more intensely when sleep is missing. The reason? The prefrontal cortex, who normally keeps the amygdala calm, is offline. Without sleep, small problems feel enormous. Emotions swing more sharply. Irritation rises. Patience disappears. Empathy decreases. Reactions become impulsive. Anxiety intensifies. Your emotional brain stops being regulated and begins to operate on survival mode. You feel fragile. Because your biology is fragile, without rest, memory begins to break down. Sleep is the architect that builds your memories. When you do not sleep, short-term memories dissolve. New memories fail to form. Long-term memories become unstable. Learning becomes nearly impossible. The hippocampus, the structure that records experience, cannot store information. Without the cleansing and consolidation performed during sleep, this is why you forget conversations, misplace items, and feel mentally blurry. After sleep loss, your brain tried to live a day on a foundation that was never rebuilt. The body's repair systems shut down. Night is the only time your body can perform certain kinds of repair. Without sleep, muscle recovery slows, inflammation rises, wound healing weakens, metabolic processes malfunction, the endocrine system becomes imbalanced, growth hormone fails to surge, cells cannot repair damage, tissues remain tense and unrecovered. You feel physically heavy because your body never entered its restoration cycle. The immune system weakens immediately. One night of poor sleep reduces immune activity measurable the next day. Without sleep, natural killer cells drop, infection fighting ability decreases, inflammation rises, vulnerability increases. Your immune system functions as if it has aged years in a single night. This is why illness hits harder and lasts longer. When you are sleep deprived, your nighttime defenders never showed up for their shift. The metabolic system becomes confused. The body's ability to manage energy depends on sleep. When sleep is missing, hunger hormones increase, satiety hormones decrease, blood sugar becomes unstable, cravings intensify, insulin sensitivity drops. This makes you feel hungrier, less satisfied, more drawn to sugar or comfort foods. Not because you lack willpower, but because the body is trying to compensate for missing energy. Metabolic confusion is a direct consequence of nighttime interruption. The heart works harder than it should. Without proper sleep, blood pressure rises, stress hormones remain elevated, heart rate variability decreases. The cardiovascular system never gets its nightly rest. Your heart works non-stop when it should have been recovering. This strain accumulates, day after day, night after night. Sleep is the heart's repair window. Without it, wear and tear deepens. Microsleeps. The brain begins to shut down in small bursts. When sleep deprivation becomes severe, the brain activates a protective mechanism called microsleeps, brief shutdowns lasting seconds. You cannot fight them. You cannot predict them. You often don't know they happened. During a microsleep, vision blurs, awareness drops, the brain goes offline. This is the brain's emergency brake, a forced restoration when you refuse to rest voluntarily. Microsleeps are not a choice. They are survival. The self begins to feel disconnected. When you lose sleep, identity becomes unstable. You may feel unlike yourself, emotionally foggy, detached, overwhelmed, confused, unreal. This happens because sleep, normally, rebuilds the sense of self each night. Without that reconstruction, the inner narrative collapses. The person who wakes feels incomplete, unfinished, fragmented. Chronic sleep loss, the slow unraveling. One bad night is survivable. But chronic sleep loss, 4 to 6 hours a night, for weeks or months, creates long-term consequences. Memory impairment, depression, hormonal imbalance, weakened immunity, increased inflammation, premature aging, elevated disease risk, emotional instability, cognitive decline. The collapse becomes structural. The body can no longer compensate. The night shift systems break under the weight of too many days without repair. Why sleep loss feels so heavy? The systems fail together. Fatigue is not the symptom. It is the summary. When you don't sleep, your biology collapses. In nearly every system, cognitive, emotional, immune, metabolic, cardiovascular, endocrine, neurological, sleep is the thread that holds these systems in balance. Break the thread, and the balance breaks with it. A final whisper before you drift into needed rest. As you lie here, with your body softening and the night rising around you, remember, your exhaustion is not weakness. It is a signal, a plea, a call from your biology to return to the nightly repair that makes life possible. Sleep is not optional. It is foundational. It is the quiet work that keeps you whole. When you deny sleep, you deny yourself. Tonight, let the systems that faltered begin to recover. Let your body do the work it has been waiting to do. Let the night restore what the day has worn down. You are safe. You are here. You are allowed to rest. Tonight, as you drift once more into the soft territory between memory and imagination, your mind will begin selecting the characters, landscapes, and emotional themes of your dreams. Some faces will be familiar. Some places will feel impossible. Some fears may resurface in symbolic shapes you haven't consciously thought about in years. This is not chaos. This is architecture. Dream content follows rules, not of logic, but of meaning. Tonight, we uncover why certain people enter your dreams why certain places return, and why certain fears take form in the night. Even when days have felt calm, dreams pull from memory networks, not timelines. Your brain does not store memory, like a chronological diary. Instead, it stores memory in clusters, people linked by emotion, places linked by meaning, experiences linked by relevance, fears linked by survival patterns, hopes linked by identity. When you dream, the brain activates these clusters, not the timeline they belong to. This is why someone from childhood appears in a room you saw yesterday. A lost loved one returns with the face they had long ago. A stranger represents an emotion instead of a person. Dreams are built from networks, not dates. Your mind selects whatever memory node connects most strongly to the feeling you are processing. Dream logic is emotional logic. Why people appear? They represent parts of you. When someone appears in your dream, even briefly, even distorted, they are rarely about themselves. They are about the emotion you associate with them, the version of you that exists in their presence, the unresolved story connected to them, the pattern of behavior they symbolize. A parent may represent safety or expectation. A friend may represent possibility or regret. An ex-partner may represent longing, growth, or closure. A stranger may represent a part of yourself you have not yet recognized. Dream characters are mirrors, not portraits. They show you what your waking mind avoids, forgets, or cannot articulate. Why places return? Memory uses space as meaning. Dream locations are rarely random. The brain constructs spaces based on emotional maps. The home from your childhood, the school you once walked through, the city you visited, the house you've never seen, a landscape that feels like memory but isn't one. Why do these places feel so real? Because your brain stores meaning spatially. Childhood home speaks to foundation. School speaks to identity formation. Workplace speaks to responsibility. Mountains speak to challenge. Oceans speak to emotional depth. Unknown cities speak to future narrative possibilities. The brain uses space to give form to ideas you cannot yet consciously express. Dream landscapes are emotional blueprints. Why fear appears. Dreams resolve what waking life cannot. Fear is one of the most common themes in dreams. Not because your life is dangerous, but because your emotional brain is clearing unresolved tension. Dream fears appear when anxiety is unaddressed, conflict is avoided, a past trauma is triggered. The brain is simulating courage. Your emotional system needs release. Fear in dreams is not punishment, it is maintenance. A healthy brain brings fear to the surface, only to make it lose power. Even nightmares serve a purpose. They reduce emotional charge. They weaken traumatic memory loops. They teach the brain that fear can be experienced without danger. Nightmares are emotional training grounds. Why we dream of falling, being chased, or being unprepared. These universal dream themes are not random. They represent ancient evolutionary patterns. Falling symbolizes loss of control, insecurity, and transition. Being chased reflects avoidance, unresolved tension, and ancient survival instincts. Teeth falling out speaks to vulnerability, communication anxiety, and identity stress. Being unprepared for an exam reveals fear of judgment and pressure to perform. Being late points to the fear of missing an emotional deadline, not a literal one. These dreams are metaphors from the emotional brain. They communicate through symbols because symbols operate faster than conscious thought. Dreams speak the language of instinct. Why we dream of loved ones who are gone. Grief appears in dreams not to reopen wounds, but to integrate them. When someone we love has passed, their presence in dreams serves several roles: emotional connection, memory, reinforcement, gradual acceptance, identity healing, unresolved conversation, symbolic guidance. Dreams allow you to experience love without loss one more time, and each time, the emotional weight grows lighter. The dream does not take the person away, it takes the pain away. Slowly, gently, truthfully. Why the impossible feels normal in dreams. Dreams break physics, because they are not concerned with realism. They are concerned with meaning. You fly, because freedom is necessary. You run underwater, because resistance needs expression. You breathe in space, because possibility matters more than oxygen. Dreams abandon realism to reveal truth. The dream world does not obey the rules of the body, it obeys the rules of emotion. Meaning is the gravity of the dream universe. Why fears shift shape in dreams? Your fears appear symbolically, because direct confrontation would overwhelm the emotional system. A fear of abandonment may appear as being lost. A fear of failure may appear as falling. A fear of intimacy may appear as being chased. A fear of losing control may appear as driving a car that won't stop. Dreams translate psychological tension into symbolic form, so the brain can process it without panic. Dream fears are transformations, not threats. Dream characters and places work together. Dream construction uses characters for relational meaning, places for emotional context, symbols for internal conflict, actions for emotional processing, impossible events for creative freedom. This architecture repeats every night, reshaping itself, based on what your heart needs most. Dream content is therapy, coded in metaphor, acted out in the dark. A final whisper before you drift into your own dream architecture. As you fall into sleep tonight, your mind will begin building its landscapes again. A person may appear, a place may return, a fear may take shape, a symbol may reveal itself. Nothing is random. Everything is communication. Your dreaming mind is not confusing you. It is speaking to you in the language it has always used. Tonight, let the faces come. Let the places shift. Let the fears soften into symbols. Your dream world is not nonsense. It is architecture, the emotional blueprint of who you are, who you were, and who you are becoming. Tonight, as darkness gathers around you and your breath falls into its slow, natural rhythm, I want to take you somewhere far beyond the body, far beyond the brain, into a space where sleep becomes more than biology, memory, or emotion. Sleep is not just a human experience. It is a cosmic one. Every night, as you fall into the quiet depths, you reconnect with rhythms older than humanity, older than Earth, older than time as you know it. Your sleep is a continuation of the same cycles that shape oceans, govern seasons, guide countless life forms, and move galaxies in silent harmony. Tonight, we explore the universe that exists inside your sleep, and the universe your sleep reconnects you to. The circadian rhythm is a cosmic rhythm. You often hear about your internal clock, but that phrase is too small. Your circadian rhythm is not merely inside you, it is synchronized to the rotation of the Earth, the rising and setting of the sun, the warming and cooling of the planet, the shifting color of the sky. These are cosmic events. Your body responds to them as faithfully as tides respond to the moon. When you sleep, you are aligning with a planetary rhythm shared by billions of living beings. Sleep is your nightly return to the cosmic order you were born from. Dream cycles mirror the cycles of nature, the pattern of descending into deep sleep, rising into dreams, and returning again. resembles natural cycles everywhere. Waves pulling back and returning, seasons warming and cooling, the moon waxing and waning, ecosystems growing and decaying, galaxies expanding and contracting. Your dream cycles are not random. They echo the geometry of nature, patterns of movement, rise and fall, contraction and release. The architecture of your night follows the same mathematics that structures the universe. You are not separate from nature. You are built from its shapes. When you sleep, consciousness returns to its source. During deep sleep, your sense of self disappears. Not permanently, not dangerously, but meaningfully. Your internal narrator falls silent. Your thought patterns dissolve. Your identity pauses. This disappearance is not an absence of consciousness. It is a return to a more fundamental state, pure awareness without story. Mystics have described it for centuries. Neuroscientists study it today. It is the same quiet from which waking consciousness emerges each morning, like the universe resting. Between the birth of stars, your mind rests. Between moments of thought, deep sleep is your nightly return to the ground of being. REM sleep, the universe trying to understand itself. During REM, the brain creates worlds that do not exist physically, yet feel extraordinarily real. These dream worlds are consciousness exploring itself without the limits of the body. Your mind becomes a creator, a storyteller, an explorer, a scientist experimenting with emotion and identity, a universe generating universes. In REM, the mind behaves in ways that resemble creativity in nature, the emergence of forms from nothingness, the spontaneous birth of patterns, the reorganization of complexity. Your dreams are not meaningless. They are the universe inside you, trying to understand the universe outside you. The night reconnects you with what you cannot access awake. There are aspects of your inner life you can only reach in the dark, unresolved truths, forgotten memories, unspoken desires, ancient instincts, intuitive understanding, emotional intelligence, subconscious wisdom. These do not vanish during the day. They simply drown in noise. At night, with the world silent and the mind unguarded, you reconnect with deeper layers of yourself, the intuitive self, the creative self, the ancestral self, the cosmic self. Sleep is not escape, it is return. Even your atoms follow nightly rhythms. Your sleep is not just neurological, it is chemical, molecular, atomic. Inside your cells, proteins oscillate in 24-hour patterns. Hormones rise and fall with cosmic precision. DNA performs timed repairs. Cellular clocks synchronize, like constellations aligning. Your atoms, forged in ancient stars billions of years ago, still follow the rhythm of cycles. Older than Earth itself, the night awakens. Your most ancient origins. You dream in symbols, because the universe speaks in patterns. Mathematics, nature, mythology, and dreams share one thing: symbolic language, patterns, metaphors, cycles, shapes. These are universal. The spiral in a seashell mirrors the spiral in the galaxy. The rhythm of your breath mirrors the rhythm of waves. The rise and fall of emotion mirrors the rise and fall of seasons. And your dream symbols mirror your inner universe. They are the language your mind uses to express truths too large for literal words. Dream symbols are cosmic metaphors. When you sleep, you rejoin the circle shared by all life. Every living creature sleeps. Birds folding into their nests, wolves curling under trees, whales diving into slow-motion rest, flowers closing petals at dusk, trees adjusting their biology at night. Even microscopic organisms follow sleep like cycles. Sleep is not a personal habit. It is a universal behavior woven through life itself. When you sleep, you participate in a ritual shared across species and time. You join a rhythm that began at the dawn of biology. Human consciousness expands in sleep, not just waking. We often imagine consciousness as something that happens only while awake, but the truth is more expansive. Deep sleep dissolves self into pure awareness. REM sleep constructs new realities. Light sleep stabilizes transitions. Dreams experiment with identity. Night cycles refine meaning and memory. Your consciousness grows, heals, reshapes, and evolves inside the night. Waking life is only half the story. Your sleeping consciousness carries the other half. When you sleep, you reconnect with yourself and with something larger than yourself, a final whisper before you drift into the universe within. As you lie here now, with night surrounding you, and your inner world beginning to open, remember, you are not an isolated being, sleeping in a quiet room. You are a part of a cosmic rhythm that moves through every cell, every organism, every ocean, every continent, every star. Sleep is your return to that rhythm. Dreams are your conversation with the universe inside you. Every night, you dissolve into something ancient and wake renewed, rebuilt, and reconnected to the vastness you came from. Tonight, let your sleep carry you back into that quiet, infinite, the universe within, mirroring the universe without. Let yourself belong to the night. Tonight, as we arrive at the final chapter of this long, gentle journey through the night, I want to bring you back to the very beginning, to the moment when you first closed your eyes, to the moment when darkness softened around you, to the moment when your body began releasing the weight of the day and your mind stepped quietly into the universe within. You have traveled far since then, through memory, through biology, through emotion, through dreams, through systems as ancient as the earth, and patterns as vast as the stars. And now, you stand at the threshold of the night's deepest truth. Sleep is not something that happens to you. Sleep is something you become. You are not separate from the night, you are made of it. Every system we explored, every breath, every cycle, every dream, reveals the same cosmic fact. The night does not exist outside you. It moves through you. The circadian rhythm that guides your fatigue was shaped by the rotation of the earth. The dreams that unfold behind your eyelids follow the same mathematics as spirals in galaxies. The emotional restoration you feel each morning mirrors the resetting of ecosystems at dusk. Your brainwaves rise and fall, like tides responding to ancient moons. You do not merely sleep under the night, you belong to it. You are a continuation of the same patterns that govern oceans, forests, migration, evolution, and the quiet expansion of the universe itself. Your body is a cathedral of nightly restoration. Inside your skin, every organ works in harmony with darkness. The heart rests, the lungs steady, the liver purifies, the immune system awakens, the gut heals, the skin restores, muscles and bones rebuild, hormones shift into their ancient choreography, the brain detoxifies, reorganizes, and renews itself, all while you drift. You sleep, but your body performs a symphony of survival and rebirth. Night is not an interruption of life. It is the maintenance of life. And every morning you open your eyes is proof of how well the night took care of you. Your mind is rewritten every night you dream. You are not the same person who closed your eyes. Sleep reconstructs your sense of self with extraordinary precision. Memories are sorted, emotions are softened, fears are reshaped, identity is edited, perspectives are reborn. Creativity emerges without permission. Possibility widens. In dreams, your mind becomes the universe, testing new versions of you, simulating courage, transforming grief, exploring joy, releasing weight. You wake not only rested, but renewed. Dreams do not tell you who you are. They help you become who you could be. You carry generations of night within you. The way you sleep, your rhythms, your timing, your needs, did not start with you. They were shaped by the ancestors, who kept watch through darkness, who slept in shifts for survival, who lit fires to protect each other, who dreamed under open skies, long before cities existed. Your sleep is evolutionary memory, a record of ancient nights. When you rest, you honor a lineage that carried you here through thousands of years. Your body remembers what your mind has forgotten. The night is a return, not a disappearance. Every time you fall asleep, you do not vanish from the world. You return to a deeper version of it, to the inner universe, where consciousness dissolves, then reforms, to the soft territory, where time folds and identity loosens, to the place where emotion repairs itself without permission, to the quiet from which your waking self is born each morning. Sleep is not losing awareness. It is returning to the source of awareness. It is the journey back to the silence you come from. Waking is a rebirth you live through every day. When morning comes, the transition from sleep to waking is not simply a switch. It's resurrection. The narrator returns. The body warms. The heart rises. Memory reorganizes. Consciousness reconnects with the world. Identity stabilizes. Light resets ancient clocks inside you. Every sunrise is a renewal, a gentle re-entry into life, a continuation of a story written across the night. You wake not by accident. You wake because your body decides. You are ready to begin again. You survived the night, and the night rebuilt you. You have traveled through light sleep, deep sleep, REM, dreaming, cycles of restoration, cycles of meaning, emotional repair, memory reorganization, identity reconstruction, cosmic alignment, bodily healing. And now, you stand at the end of this 20-part journey with something you didn't have before, an understanding of how miraculous your sleep truly is. Every night, without your effort, without your awareness, your body and mind orchestrate one of the most intricate processes in nature. Sleep is your birthright, your protection, your healing, your connection to the universe, your return to wholeness. A final whisper before this journey ends. As you lie here now, with the weight of the day softened and the vast quiet of night wrapped around you, remember, you are not fragile. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are human, a being made of ancient rhythms, dreams, light and darkness, restoration and rebirth. The night is not something you move through. It is something that moves through you. And every time you surrender to sleep, you return to the place where the mind heals, the body restores, and the universe inside you finds its balance again. So now, let the night take you. Let sleep rise to meet you. Let your inner cosmos unfold in silence and softness. Because the night belongs to you, and you belong to the night.